Hello, bruv. Hello, bruv. We got a different sort of book today. It's Flying Saucers from Other Worlds. It's a magazine. And this is actually the last issue of this publication from May 1958. The next issue that they did, I believe the guy's name was Ray Arnold. Maybe I'm wrong. What's his name? Ray Palmer. Sorry. Ray Palmer. He turned it into Flying Saucers, the magazine of space conquest, in 1958, June of 1958. This is obviously not June, but October. And I picked up 3 different issues, bruv. And now let's go over this. Let's get involved in this. Why did TV saucer documentary avoid truth? No witnesses allowed. Beginning in this issue, Kenneth Arnold's out-of-print book, The Coming of the Saucers. There's also airline pilots banned from telling UFO facts, the Holly River sighting, true UFO reports, saucers in the wee hours, the story of WOR Radio's fabulous Long John Potty line, satellites forcing new space theories. I saw these magazines a week ago at the Antique Mall, and I said, if I come back in 1 week and they're still there, I will get them. And they were given Transformation of Your Life in 24 Hours by Brown Landone. That's him at 98 years old. Come on, stop. I mean, I really want to look into this guy, actually. Why does man begin dying before he is 22 years of age and continue dying slowly for the rest of his life on earth? Why do most men want money, position, wealth, power, freedom from disease, abundant energy, yet never seem to get them? Write for the amazing free story of famed Brown Landone. Read how science has discovered the brain of spirit. Thrill at the discovery of the 7 constructive rays of the universe. Learn how you can use these newfound discoveries to change over and transform your entire life now. Reach heights you never before dreamed possible. Write for Folder A right now. It's free. American Book Society, Louisville. Sorry. I have family in the South. Louisville. Issue number 29, contents. Ray Palmer, editor. Gray Barker, Eastern editor. August C. Roberts, photo editor. Colonel Ron Ormond, Western editor. Ray Palmer writes an editorial to begin the publication. Flashing Light in Sky Burns 2 Women 13. Now that sounds like a good one. Saucers in the Wee Hours, August C. Roberts and Dominic Lucchesi. Main sky object is Puzzler. Chasing the Flying Saucers by Gray Barker. The Holly River Sighting by Hank Mallohan. The Spoon-Shaped Saucer. Satellites Forcing New Space Theories. Airline pilots banned from telling UFO facts. The coming of the saucers, Kenneth Arnold. I saw a flying saucer. Reports from our readers. Saucers in the news. Flying saucer club news. Personals. UFO. From our readers. Personals. UFO seen by 60,000 witnesses by W. Alexander. Letters from our readers. Cover photos. Kenneth Arnold and his famous plane. Buy your magazine at the same newsstand every month. Your dealer will appreciate it. Watch closely for the next issue of Flying Saucers. Address all correspondence to editorial office, Amherst, Wisconsin. Flying Saucers from Other Worlds is published every other month by Palmer Publications, Inc., Evanston, Illinois. Entered as second-class meter, blah, blah, blah. Let's get on with this, bruv. Editorial. My plan here is to allow the page to sit. So if you actually view the video, you can pause it and read it. I don't know how good the definition is, but we'll read a little bit of this intro without ruining the spine. On January 22nd, 1958, CBS Armstrong Circle Theater presented an hour-long television show entitled UFO, The Enigma of the Skies. The show was written by Irv Tunick, was directed by William Corrigan, and was produced by Robert Costello. We mention these names so that there will be no doubt as to the source of the program. However, we doubt if any one of the three men realized what he was getting into when the brilliant inspiration came to them to gather together a documentary on flying saucers and present the facts to the world for once and for all. If they had, we believe they would rather have choked themselves on the biggest saucer, the kind intended to hold a cup they could find, but they got the idea, thought it a good one, and went ahead enthusiastically. Innocently, they were the cause of the most significant assault on free speech and the right of the American citizen to know that we have ever seen. On the surface, that sentence sounds like a gross exaggeration. Because of that surface appearance, the editors of Flying Saucers feel it their duty to place before its readers. It should be before all Americans the facts as Flying Saucers has learned them. I don't know what the program is. Let's see if we can find out. I guess it did say it. No, it just said Armstrong, UFO, The Enigma of the Skies. All right, let me go back. Look at this, bro. Switch hands, get you a nice view of the page. There you go. 2 seconds. Pause. Let's move along, bro. Obviously, I'm not reading this entire thing. 4, 5. Didn't want to fold it too much, as it's already. See if I can't do this. Flatten it better without putting my finger on it. There we go. I think we shall. Oh, whoa. Such a touchy little camera. Read, bruv, read. Edwards, have you ever seen Arnold continued? say that at all. I said that they flew in saucer-like fashion. Edwards, that was an historic misquote. Arnold, I guess so, because that's how the name flying saucers came to be. Edwards, have you ever seen these so-called flying saucers since? Arnold, yes, I have, and I know some regular airline pilots who have made many sightings, but we don't talk much about it. Making a flying saucer report is like opening your living room to a bobcat. Me, I'm bobcat. You get clawed, scratched, and spit on. You're either a real fruitcake or you're out to get publicity by spreading lies. I saw what I saw, and I reported it to the proper authorities. Page 13. Flashing light in sky burns 2 women. Is this it? That's the whole story. All right, let's get to this. I should put my bell. My bell should go on there. Be a good page holder. Flashing lights in sky burns 2 women. 2 New Mexico housewives returning from a short pleasure trip in mid-February 1958 reported they saw an unidentified object in the skies which gave off 2 brilliant flashes of light. They suffered slight burns, the women said. They are Mrs. Leroy Evans of Albuquerque and Mrs. Fred McIntosh of nearby Los Lunas. After a preliminary Geiger counter check disclosed the possibility of radioactive burns, the women decided to have a thorough laboratory test. Laboratory, sorry. I have to fake my English accent better. They said that after seeing the flashes, their skin started burning. I have a lovely suntan I didn't have before, Mrs. Evans reported. The Civil Aeronautics Authority at Albuquerque reported sightings of the flash from a 6-state area. Dr. Lincoln La Paz of the University of Meteorites, what? There's a University of Meteorite. Oh, there was. Said the flash probably came from here. He neglected to say what caused the burns on the 2 women. Sauces in the wee hours. The Long John party line. August C. Roberts. Dominic Lucchesi. I will admit to not knowing many of the UFO devotees that don't relate to Laura Mundo, but Gray Barker definitely does, because he's on the left. He published at least one of her books. An excellent cross-section of a typical discourse on the party line would be one of our experiences on the show. Long John had invited Gray Barker to participate in a discussion with us concerning Barker's book. They knew too much about flying saucers. Lucchesi had brought up the book for the first time on the party line during the course of a previous broadcast in which we both participated. This had set up a wave of contention between organized science fiction enthusiast and Lucchesi, who at the time was acting as Ray Palmer's representative, although without his knowledge. Referring to the chapter on Barker's book mentioning the Shaver mystery, Lucchesi made a statement to the effect that science fiction writer Harlan Ellison had on a previous occasion misconstrued and misinterpreted definite points on the Shaver mystery in a biased manner. Within a half hour, a commotion was heard at the outer door of the studio. Without a word of introduction, Ellison burst into the studio proper and seated himself before a microphone. Unrestrainedly, he attempted to salvage in part what had now become unsound basic for his previously unfounded statements concerning editor Palmer and his position in relation to the Shaver mystery. So interesting, buddy. George Van Tassel. John Otto of Chicago. I remember him from the Vietnam book. Or is it Vimana? Vimana. Sauces in the wee hours. Yeah, I think this bell's gonna hold these books down. You son of a bitch. Blasting bastard. Who's this? Pause. Raid. Who's this guy? Andy Sinatra wearing his third eye device. Three eyes, two chins. Not bad. Main sky object is puzzler. A cylindrical object giving off a silvery blaze of light and hovering in the southwest skies over Brewer, Maine, was reported seen by several persons early February 23rd, 1958. None of the persons who saw the object had any ideas what it may have been, except that it stayed in about the same position from midnight until daybreak. Several gatekeepers at the Bangor Brewer Tollbridge said the object seemed to drop suddenly between 5 and 6 o'clock, but that it returned to its original position shortly afterward. A motorist traveling along Route 9 reported the object almost dropped on his car. The officer of the day at Dow Air Force Base said that a woman caller reported to him that she had seen the object. According to officials there, the woman was told it may have been the planet Jupiter. Professor Maynard F. Jordan of the University of Maine, contacted at his home, was told of the sightings. He said that the object may have been either Mars or Saturn, but that he couldn't really think of anything that would perform that way. Jordan is professor of astronomy. Wait, is that a comma or a period? Looks like a period. Thought it was a comma. Chasing the Flying Saucer with Gray Barker. See if you can get a read on that, bruv. Without my fingers being in the way. There you go. Read it, bruv. 1, 2, 3, pause. Really need to use me left hand. Only those who know little of a matter can have a clear and definite opinion on it. Charles Fort in Lowe. To those looking for saucers, it had already been an interesting year, as readers of Flying Saucers would testify. 1957 had shown no let-up in sightings of the things, wherever they were. Some felt the saucers stood for hope. Stood for hope? Some felt that saucers stood for hope. Some were indifferent to them, and some were frightened of them, toward them, of them. But as the Earth ground toward the end of her orbit, and the leaves turned red, then faded, saucers gazed at something they were more immediately concerned about. Casting a grotesque shadow across the free world, the Russian Sputnik could mean a number of things. Immediately, it was something to get shaken up over. Russian scientists had apparently beaten us to the punch. The size of the red moon alone indicated the U.S. was not only behind in firing a satellite into orbit, but behind in missiles as well. Sputnik 1 was said to weigh 184 pounds. The first U.S. experimental moons would weigh only 4 pounds and measure only 6 inches in diameter. Pause. Raid. Motor stall. Pedro Saucedo was driving out to a farm on State Route 116 near Levelland, Texas, when the first publicized sighting of the big saucer flap took place. With him was a friend, Joe Salaz. Suddenly, they saw a huge torpedo-shaped object in the sky headed toward them. The lights of his car went out, then the motor died. Let Sausalito tell it in his own words. I jumped out of the truck and hit the dirt because I was afraid. I called to Joe, but he didn't get out. The thing passed directly over my track with a great sound and a rush of wind. It sounded like thunder, and my truck rocked from the blast. I felt a lot of heat. Then I got up and watched it go out of sight toward Levelland. Later, he described the thing as torpedo-shaped or like a rocket, but much larger. Lights on the object seemed to be winking on and off. On the same strange night, a number of drivers reported seeing what evidently was the same object, or others just like it, as police switchboards were flooded by reports. Among them, Ronald Martin, 18-year-old Levelland truck driver, had a brush with the unknown similar to Saucedo. The lights of his truck also went out, and the engine died when he saw what he described as a big ball of fire, which dropped onto the highway right in front of him. As it settled to the highway, it changed to a bluish-green color, then to a fireball again, when it rose straight up and disappeared. Exciting stuff. Read. Pause. In Birmingham, Alabama, a milkman also had ignition trouble when he spotted an immense 600 feet long object, which he estimated to be 150 feet wide. James Moore said he was driving to work when the sky lit up and his ignition system conked out. The thing, about a mile away, was hovering about 200 feet above the ground. Moore said he took a look and left. We suspect that is quite an understatement. Pause. Read. Rumors of shush-ups could be expected, but one reaching us from the area stated that Wilbanks had been hospitalized with what appeared to be an ailment caused by radiation. Others stated that the soldier had merely been asked to stick to the base and not talk about the experience. GB. Pause. Read. Schmidt, buying grain. Is this your first trip to Kearney? Which I assume is Nebraska. Yeah. Lawson. This is Gene Lawson, news director of a radio station. At the present time, we are in the studio. The time of Central Standard. It stated that his home address, blah, blah. I believe you had something occur to you, and you talk a little bit about it. All right. He was buying grain. That's why he was in Nebraska. Schmidt, yes. And by the buying grain, what do you mean, sir? Buying for the farmers or elevators. And you travel around the country, sir? Yes. And you drive what kind of car, sir? Frickin' message. A 55 Buick Super. Now, this afternoon, I believe you were out south of town. About how far, sir? Schmidt, about 4 miles. But what time was this? Between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. And you were headed in which direction? Schmidt, I was going south and then turned east on the Newark Highway. You noticed something in the Platte Riverbed, am I right? That it was dry? Schmidt, there was a flash there. That what I first noticed. Larson, how far from the road, sir? About half a mile, I would say. Did you continue to drive, or did you immediately stop? No, I drove on up a little closer to where the flash was to see what caused it. And when I got so close, I found out. I thought it was a balloon that had crashed there. Then you drove closer to the object, yes. And then what occurred, Schmidt? When I got 50 feet of the object, my car stopped. The motor went dead. I tried to step on the starter, but there was no response whatsoever. I got out of the car. I figured the terminal had just broken loose on the battery. I got out of the car and walked toward this balloon, or what I thought was a balloon. And when I got within 30 feet of it, a light shot out, and I wouldn't say it paralyzed me, bruv. I would say it hypnotized me. Schmidt's voice shows confusion as to the exact effect of the ray. You couldn't move. I couldn't move, bruv. Could you think? Yes, I could think and talk, but I couldn't move. Before we go into further happenings in regard to this, whoa. Sorry, the device was rotated out of. They won't let me do what's it called? Landscape. Because they're communist. Before we go into further happenings in regard to this object, wonder if you could describe it and how long it was it, sir? It was about 100 feet long, as near as we could step it off, and 30 feet wide. And I judge it was 14 feet high. What did it appear to be made of, sir? Real bright aluminium. Sorry, I watched Bear Grylls. Real bright aluminium. Now, this was in the bed of the Platte River. Isn't Platte with an E at the end? I don't know. Which is dry at the present time. It was sandy then, yes. It appeared to be of aluminium, bright and shiny. You got out, you approached this object. Did you notice anything, bruv, as to how it would move? Did there appear to be pipes or propellers, or what was it? On each end of the machine, there was a tube running up and down, and in these tubes, I could see big fans. It seemed like that did the propelling. How close did you get to this object? I got to it, and in it. Whoa! I understand that, sir. I don't know that you do understand it, sir. But before you got into it, you got out of your car, went across the field toward the riverbed. How close to the object did you get before you noticed anybody? About 30 feet. Then what occurred? Then's when the light shot out and paralyzed you as far as you know. Then what occurred? Schmidt, 2 men came out and they said not to be alarmed, that they would have to search me. Larson, they came out of the side. Yes, out of the side of the machine. And was there steps down to the ground? Yes, there was a sliding door and then the steps. I see, they came out. And they spoke to you in English? Yes. How were they dressed? They were dressed like any American would be in business. Did they appear to be young or middle-aged? Or they were middle-aged, I would say between 40 and 45, and they spoke good English. No, they spoke a broken English. What did they say to you? They told me not to be alarmed, that they were not going to hurt me, and they did want to search me. And I told them I had no weapons. I asked them what the deal was, what this object was, and they said, well, as long as we can't leave for a few minutes, you can come in and look around. So you went up the steps with them and entered the object. Schmidt, yes. This front cover's not falling off. It's not. It's already partially disassembled. There we go. It's nice to have these flat pages, isn't it, bruv? Very nice. The story seemingly is going to go on and on. I got to read 20 pages of a story. Especially when I'm already 30 minutes into this stream. Here we go. The Holly River sighting by Hank Mallahan as told to Gray Barker. The hill where Hank Mallahan saw his UFO at X mark at peak. Where the hell that X is? You can't really see. See an X in there? Don't see anything unless that's it right there. Right there. But I don't know. Hank Mallahan, whose strange saucer sighting is recorded here. One, two, three. Pause. Read. I was working. I didn't get to talk to them. My wife was telling me about them being here. Did they say anything as close up as you did? See anything as close up as you did? Hank, I really don't know. Barker, have you ever heard any stories about flying saucers? I've heard quite a few of them. What do you think about these stories? Well, I think there's something to it. I think there's something. Do you think that what you saw was from space? No, I don't think it was from space. What makes you think it wasn't? Well, the main reason was the fuel. The way the fuel was burning and everything, they'd have to have an awful load of fuel to carry as big a ship as that was and bring it any distance. I believe it was your impression that perhaps this was some experiment. I believe it was some kind of experimental thing of the Army or Navy had. You know, they have a proving ground at Aberdeen, Maryland. That isn't too far. Did anyone from the Air Force or any other government agency question you about it? No, sir. Ed talked to the FBI when he was up home. He talked to the FBI, I believe it was in Washington, on the telephone. And what did the FBI man tell him? Anything? He wanted to know if the state police from the area reported it, and Ed told them just what was said and what happened. Told him he just doubted it. He was pretty well tore up over how the law acted about it. Satellites forcing new space theories. One, two, three. Read. Need a little short, compact story here. There we go. UFO airline pilots banned. How many pages are in this book? Yep. 898, so I'm halfway through. Basically. Airline pilots banned from telling UFO facts. The other day, the editor of this magazine was seated in a small restaurant having a cup of coffee. Seated beside him was a middle-aged man who seemed to be paying strict attention as we engaged in our favorite discussion, flying saucers with those friends who also like coffee. Someone voiced the opinion that if there were so many saucers up there, why was it that airline pilots didn't see them? Well, we know several airline pilots, and we know Kenneth Arnold, who knows many airline pilots, bruv, and who gets around to talk to people who know still more airline pilots. So we said quickly that airline pilots do see flying saucers constantly. We even expressed the opinion that the airline pilot with any number of flying hours at all must almost certainly have seen one. This statement was met with obvious disbelief, but at that moment, the middle-aged man spoke up. Sorry, I have to scratch. My son is an airline pilot, and he has seen flying saucers many times. What you say is perfectly true. He tells me of them, but he never speaks of them to others or to his superiors. It is easier to be quiet about them than to go through the embarrassment and trouble of reporting them. It is also true that they are instructed not to talk of sightings in public. The airlines do not want any publicity of this sort. Others in the restaurant began to press him with questions, and in a few moments he glanced at his watch and decided he must be on his way. We said nothing because personal questions could add nothing to what we already know. Even if we knew names, places, dates, we wouldn't quote anyway. What could it mean except trouble for the pilot? Why was it that Clarence, Childs, scheduled to appear on a TV program on film, did not appear? Was it because his rather famous boss, a well-known aviation hero, put his foot down on this project? We think it was. Why was it that Captain E.J. Smith, who actually went up to New York and visited with Kenneth Arnold, when he learned the latter was in town and had refused to go on the show, a famous saucer sighter himself, did not go on the show? Why was Nash not on the program? Why was it that, as we have learned from unimpeachable sources, various airline pilots learning of the show had requested permission to go on it and been refused? The answer is simple. The airlines have established a firm rule against any publicity of all involvements by airline personnel in the flying saucer controversy. Let me see if this will work. There we go. In the first place, it's bad for. Why would it be bad for business if you're seeing UFOs up there? I guess this is 1957. But if you told people, I believe half the people would say, "Take me up." I mean, since these pilots are reporting UFOs everywhere, wouldn't you think that people on planes had seen them too? And maybe they are. All right, back to my fake accent, prof. In the second place, the airlines don't need any other reason. A large airliner crashes with mysterious holes in its fuselage. Could it have been a flying saucer? Another dives, injuring several passengers trying to avoid a strange object plunging toward it. Another comes in with a hole in the wing. Add all this to hundreds of pilot reports of UFO, and you come up with public panic. I mean, you also come up with the insurance of a foolhardy insurance plan to recover all your money. Who wants to ride in such dangerous air? I would say most people, except me. I don't fly. It is perfectly good policy for the airlines to compel the pilots and crew members to keep mum about what they see in the sky. Actually, airline travel is the safest travel in the world. You are safer in the air than riding your kid's bike around the backyard, but the public is strangely fickle. Put a few coincidences together, a few mysteries, some gossip, and you've got a whopping financial loss. The same condition is true when we come to military pilots and their near cousins, aircraft company test pilots, whose intelligence is beyond reproach, whose keen powers of observation cannot be questioned, are sighting mysterious craft in the sky, especially those who reach the higher altitudes. This whole article is, we must impress upon the readers, sheer gossip and conjecture. It is hearsay, unvouched, undocumented. It cannot be otherwise. Thus, when we say that a certain test pilot has informed us of seeing a flight of literally hundreds of strange objects flying in formation, obviously intelligently controlled and performing feats far beyond anything a human being can do. Given his present equipment and scientific knowledge, we are merely repeating an unfounded statement. How could we prove it? When we say an army or air force pilot has told us thus and so, how can we prove it? What would happen to the pilot if we named him? You can guess, so we cannot name him. Thus, we merely state here our personal conviction that airline pilots are advised not to talk of anything strange they see in the sky. Only one thing seems curious to us: the airline themselves do not seem to be interested in listening to the reports. Is it because familiarity breeds contempt? Or is it because no amount of investigation has come up with any positive answer, and therefore it has decided that it is impractical to spend either the time, personnel, or money to investigate? Try asking any of the airline pilots who actually have reported sightings in the past to speak on their sightings before a public group where there will be newspaper publicity, and see if you can get any takers. If you can, grab him, because you'd be you'll be getting a rare bargain. Satellites forcing new space theories. Oh, that's continued story. The coming of the saucers. Beginning in this issue, Flying Saucers reproduces the sensational book, which has been out of print for more than 5 years. Here you will read the true story that Mr. Arnold found impossible to tell over the air on CBS Armstrong Circle Theater teleshow. The Coming of the Saucers, the best saucer book of them all. Isn't it the first saucer sighting, 1947? Kenneth Arnold. Not sure. Well, here's the first chapter of his book if you wanted to read it. Don't you dare, bruv. I don't know. It's my child texting me. Should have texted me back 3 hours ago, child. Oh no. It's a picture of a cat. Look at me, cat. And I always go meow, meow, and that angers my child. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Lovely. Lovely, isn't it, Governor? One, two, three, look. It's the Enola Gay, bruv. Well, this is more than one chapter. It's a couple chapters of the book. Quite a few, bruv. All you gotta do is pause it. Hopefully it's coming through well. New Age Bookstore, Palmetto, Florida. Palmetto, Florida. Florida. I think I need Laura Mundo in here. There's Daniel Fry, Van Tassel, Keo. I've heard all these names. Jessup. George Adamski. Saw a flying saucer. This section of Flying Saucers is devoted to factual reports by our readers. Factual? Come on now. Here you will find the personal accounts of those who have actually seen flying saucers. And here, if you are one of those lucky ones, is the place for you to tell your own story. If you have had any sort of saucer experience, please send it to us and we will print it. I'll read one of the shorter ones, because I know everyone loves this fake English accent. Is this thing even focusing? There we go. On Monday morning, August 12th, it's my child's birthday, I saw a flying saucer over Reading, Mass. at 7:45 a.m. It was flying from south to west, a very great distance away. I observed it for about 2 minutes, and then it disappeared completely. No witness. On Sunday morning, about 11 a.m., August 18th, the same week, we were headed to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, via the Maine Turnpike, and 2 flying saucers were flying in formation from west to south. We watched them for about 3 or 4 minutes until they went out of sight. I stopped the auto to watch all of this. My wife spotted them before I did. They were pure white and appeared about the size of the moon. There was no noise that I could hear. There were several jets up there at the same time. If they were trying to get near the saucers, they couldn't make it. Those saucers are the fastest things I have ever seen, bruv. Witnesses, my wife, mother-in-law, and myself. It's the only time the triumvirate has ever agreed, bruv. We went just outside Portsmouth, New Hampshire, when these were spotted. Just before we left the Maine Turnpike, they were flying in formation, and they seemed under complete control all the time. Gregory A. Killian, 30 Harrison Street, Reading, Mass. Or was that Leonard? I believe it was Gregory. He said Reading. Reading, Mass. There's your page. You can read yourself, bruvs. Oh, shit. I just lost the page. Aliens took over my soul. There we go. Maybe I do need a headset camera thing. Cross-handedness here. Read at your will, bruv. What is this? 49 minutes. Page 75. Saucers in the news. These are the reports which have made the news in the past few months. So now you can get an idea of what Laura Mundo, or is it Mundo? I say Mundo, was doing on a local scratch pad of a publication. This is more professional, obviously. Mystery sky object. The OPP is investigating an unidentified illuminated object which started over Eatonville, 30 miles east of Chatham, Ontario, Canada, December 12th. Isn't that today? No, this is like the 5th, you idiot. December 5th, 1957. It was headed in the direction of Windsor, towards us. It's probably going to Laura Mundo's and Dearborn, buddy. Just across. Wait, if it was headed, which way was it? East of Chatham. It was headed in the direction of Windsor. Well, Windsor is south of Detroit, so it's hard to tell. Witnesses could give no explanation of the strange sight, but said the phenomenon was much brighter and lower than any star. It was first spotted about 7 p.m. by Mrs. Robert Moore of Rural Road 2 near Blenheim. Is it Blenheim? She said it drew an arc over Eatonville and continued in a westward direction. At first I thought it was a star, but it was 100 times brighter. It was the size of a football and appeared quite low in the sky. District radar units reported heights at from 35 to 40,000 feet. Constable Ted Wickens of Chatham and John McPherson of Ridgetown OPP were sent to the scene and both saw the object. Wickens said he saw the object in flight for over 20 minutes. It was far too bright for a meteor or star. Telephone lines into OPP headquarters in Chatham were jammed with calls from persons who sighted the object and civil defense units from as far away as Peterborough. Mysterious explosion, Rock City and Lansing. What the hell does that got to do with the UFO, Bubba? One, two, three. Read. Flying Saucer Club news. See if there's any from Detroit. I see nothing. Sorry to keep doing this, but I don't want to wreck the spine of this book. Or this magazine, Saginaw. Jet chases Oregon spaceship. Sunny Hill, Oregon school kids saw a jet chasing a spaceship over Sunny Hill. The youngsters say the spaceship was a big round silver thing, and the jet could never catch up with it. That's news. I would like some information on a rocket engine with a thrust of 1 pound or more for less than $5. Oh, man. Wanted pics and information on flying saucers. Are there any Saucerians in or near Phoenix, Arizona? I am a new arrival and know no one. I'd like to meet or correspond with anyone, male or female, my own age or near it. 27. I would like to offer any assistance I can give to any UFO group anywhere. James D. Allen. Anyone interested in forming a discussion club in Chicago? No crackpots, please. Ruth C. Netherton. To get in touch with other people in the Akron, Ohio area who are saucer fans, contact Chuck Turner. UFO seen by 60,000 witnesses. Reprinted through the courtesy of Flying Saucer Review, 1 Doughty Street, London. Oh, wait, I refer here to Our Lady of Fatima. This is the extract from the Annals of Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, an Australian Catholic publication. On October 13, 1917, therefore, a pouring wet day, between 60 and 70,000 people of all classes, believers and unbelievers alike, went to the Cova da Iria with the children. Atheists and mockers were among the crowd, together with the journalists sent from Lisbon to represent the leading Portuguese newspapers. There, suddenly at 3 p.m., the crowd saw what appeared to be the sun come down through the clouds. It rotated 3 times for about 4 minutes each time, radiating various colored lights and intense heat, although it was not too bright for the people to gaze directly at it. Oh, shit, we lost it. I lost it. No. I think I can never get back there, buddy. Oh, there it is. Some described it afterwards as a silvery disc. After about 12 minutes, the disc appeared to move back to its normal place in the sky, where it resumed its usual brilliance so that people could no longer look directly at it. Have you read it yet? Search magazine. How would you like to hunt for treasures? Treasure, you can find it too, bruv. Get some of your friends together, form a company, and go into business. Bull Canyon, Colorado. I can hear this binding cracking. Oh, there they are, digging. We hold clear title to these unpatented uranium claims. Yeah, I bet you do. Man, that sounds like a money pit if I've ever heard of it. Dear Ray. Oh no. Got the rotate camera message again. Dear Ray, I am another devout Saucerian and subscriber to your new publication. You and your staff are to be congratulated on the second issue, which I just finished reading, a much improved one over the first. Assuming that you are like all other editors and welcome criticism as well as suggestions to improve your magazine, I would like to offer a suggestion. For what it's worth, for a new feature or branch department, as the case may be. It is a certainty that a great many other fellow Saucerians like myself have an extreme interest in the photograph end of the UFO mystery. Reports of sightings are important, but to our breed, authentic photographs are even more so. Many of us have begun, or would like to begin, a personal album of truly authenticated actual copies, prints of flying saucer photographs from any and all places on this globe of ours. What better place to obtain them than from the staff of the first magazine devoted strictly to the subject of flying saucers? At first thought perhaps the problems associated with setting up such a department seemed staggering, but I feel confident that the response of subscribers and non-subscribers to such a vast source of photographic evidence as could be collected would be well worth the effort, and undoubtedly profitable to your magazine. Well, I've planted what I hope is the seed of a new worthwhile suggestion. Perhaps August Roberts, your photo editor, has some ideas for making it grow. Perhaps putting the idea up to your readers would give an indication of the expected response. As word got around, I know you would be swamped with requests. We are already engaged, bro. Saucerian Review, a copy of the 100-page Saucerian Review of Summer of 1955 Saucer Events. Frank Edwards, Amy Michelle, Jessup, Kehoe, Norkin, Bertram. Adamski, of course, inside the spaceships. As I said, I don't want to. Did I skip a page? I did not. Tell me to rotate, Bubba. The Truth About Flying Saucers, Amherst Press. My Trip to Mars, the Moon, and Venus by Buck Nelson. What is on the Moon? They Shall Be Gathered Together by John McCoy. Turners. Eliminate Dandruff, Darken, Faded Hair, Use Turners. This editor himself recommends it. Stronger than dirt, buddy. Now you can rent or buy these books by mail. New Age Bookstore, Palmetto, Florida. Haunted People. Come on, page turn. What is all this? Hypnotism Handbook. Do you like good chili? Williams Chili Seasoning. Having trouble finding flying saucers at your newsstand? First edition sold out in just 2 months. Flying Saucer Pilgrimage by Bryant and Helen Reeve. Detroit original. Not trying to show my package, but I'm trying also not to get the flash on the thing in case you're trying to read about the Rosicrucians. Rosicrucians, but the Egyptians knew it ages ago, bruv. All right, that's all. That's all.